Take three.
We live and direct coming at you. This Heru Arman. They call me Heru Arman. Some may call me whatnot. But we're here just giving you some heads up on some foreclosure issues and what's going on. I got my brother Nazir here. And we're just going to rap to you, talk to you a little bit. So let's bring it on.
Get into it. Before I begin, let me introduce myself. I am who exists. I mean, you see me, well, you can see my arm right here in front of you. And I'm the son of my father and the sentient being that you may call Nazir. You may also call me Naz. The purpose of this video is to inform people of that there is a remedy to an epidemic that is going on in this country. It's more than an epidemic. It's actually it is a manufactured atrocity. And what that is that families are being destroyed. Families are being displaced from their homes. Their homes are being taken from them. Technically, they're actually giving away their homes. And, you know, that's one of the biggest problems in this country today. You know, we have people that are, families are breaking up and being destroyed. You know, the husband is leaving the wife or the wife is leaving the husband. You know, it's destroying the fabric of who we are as a society, as a people, I should say. Mm-hmm. And what we don't realize, which I'm here to share with you, is that there is a remedy. And that remedy is actually to empower yourself. I have helped people successfully stop foreclosures, taking their home out of foreclosure. And I will share with you how I do that. Now, I may not be able to get all of that in this video, but I will share with you a way to get a hold of me, and so that we can assess your situation and basically keep your family in your home. There are two different types of foreclosures. There's non-judicial foreclosure, and there's a judicial foreclosure. Non-judicial means when they don't have to go to court to kick you out of your home or for you to give you or entice you to give your home away. Mm-hmm. A judicial foreclosure is when they take you to courts to get you to give your home away. And yes, I did say it correctly, give your home away. Let's deal with the judicial first. Judicials are, technically, they're a lot easier to deal with. In most cases, in a judicial foreclosure, in a judicial process, the banks don't have standing to take your home away from you, right? The debt may be valid, it may be invalid. I know there's a lot of strategies out there to say, well, ask for the promissory note, and the original promissory note. And I'll tell you right now that does not work. It delays it, but it doesn't work. And there's several reasons for that. For one, the bank is not going to give you the original promissory note, because if they give you the original promissory note, they're no longer the holder of the note. Okay? So for you that are asking for the promissory note, stop that. Ask for a certified copy of the original, or a verifiable copy of the original. So in other words, that means for someone, a third party, to attest that there is a original wet ink signature on a promissory note that you provided them. Okay? But going back to the judicial process, is that what they're doing is they're taking you to a court, or enticing you to come into a court, and asking the judge to hand over your house, get you to hand over your house to them. And what you unwittingly do is, out of intimidation, is you hand it over to them. And it's unnecessary. You don't have to do that. All right? One of the things that you have to challenge is standing and authority. They don't have standing. Let me ask you something. Who signed the contracts that you have in front of you for your house? When you sat down at that closing table and signed that big stack of documents, who signed them? You did. That means it's not a contract, it's more of a declaration.
Yes.
The definition of a unilateral contract is agreement between two people that one party has to perform something. This is not an agreement between two people. This is an agreement between you and yourself, saying that this is what you're going to do for someone, or a promise, or a declaration. All right? You have the right to change your mind. All right? That's one of the most important keys to this that you need to understand, and that is that you are the only one that signed the paperwork. You don't have to ask them permission to do anything, because they are not a party to that contract. If you're in a judicial state, challenge standing. Now, that's not all. I mean, because of course, the attorneys are pretty savvy, and they know how to win through attrition. And attrition means they just wear you out. In other words, they put motion through emotion and emotion. And if you've learned anything through the maxim of commerce, which I'm sure most of you have touched in a little bit, you know the fact that he who leaves the battlefield first loses. And so if they wear you out and you leave that battlefield or that courtroom, then they win through attrition.
Period.
Right? So the one thing that you do not want to do is sit down and walk away. Stand up. Stand up because you're on solid ground.
Square,
and technically, this is kind of a side note, corporations are not allowed to own land.
Period.
And most of us don't even know that.
Period.
By the treaties, if you read the constitutions for the various states and for the United States, the Constitution for the United States of America, continental America, you'll see that the highest forms of law on the land are not only the Constitution, but the treaties.
Come on.
All right? For you that live up in the Northwest or west of the Ohio Valley, I believe is what it is, Mississippi, you should know that the Northwest Territorial Treaty is the law of the land. And it says corporations cannot own property or cannot own land. There is an exception, and that is if you're a railroad. Well, as far as I know, Bank of America is not a railroad. Neither is U.S. Bank. Neither is Chase. So how is it that they're taking property from people? It's because they're calling it real estate. One thing you might want to do is learn the difference between real estate and land. But we'll get into that later because we're kind of short on time. So that's just a tidbit. Now, of course, it's not all that you have to do. You still want to take all the interest that you've given to the bank and authority. You want to revoke the powers of attorney that are in your contracts. You want to retain the interest that you have given them, and you have the right to do so. For judicial states, for non-judicial states, you give it away through a deed of trust. Now, I don't think we said it in this one, in this particular take, but let me ask Brother Heru here a question. Brother, if you were to be planning your life estate, and you knew you had property, and you wanted that property to be taken care of or passed to people that you wanted to be passed along to, who would you name as the beneficiary or the one to receive the property if you were incapacitated? Your children, your family, something like that, right? So let me ask you people out there who fill out these deeds of trust, why in the world would you give over to the bank your personal belongings when it should be passed to your children? Why?
Come on.
I mean, it's a rhetorical question. I can't hear you anyway, so just answer it in your mind and answer it truthfully. What you're doing is you're giving away your property. You're giving away your power, all right? When you sign a deed of trust, you authorize the bank to come take your property. And I'll tell you something else. Let me make this very clear. At the closing table, you actually purchase the house outright, and you own it outright. And then you turn around and give it right back to the bank. Or I shouldn't say right back to the bank. You give it to the bank or give them an interest. So there's a lot to this for us to put it in this little time here. But what you have to do is you have to take back that power. You do that with what they call a qualified written request. Now, don't mistake a qualified written request for a specific form that you have to fill out or a letter that you have to write in a specific form. A qualified written request is just an internal name of a form or a document that the so-called borrower, and I do mean so-called because you're not a borrower, provides and sends over to the bank questioning whether or not the loan is valid. And you can do that whether the loan is valid or invalid.
Come on.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with you questioning whether or not a transaction was legitimate or fraudulent. And if anyone has a problem with that, then there's obviously fraud involved. But it goes from that. It goes from revoking your power of attorney, redoing the quick claim deed, reissuing the statutory warranty deed. And these are things that I've done for people and help people and successfully have stopped people's foreclosures, certain people's foreclosures. It's really about empowerment is what it truly is. And one thing that you can look for, you can, of course, contact us here, but you can always look for, I have a website coming here soon that will teach people how to do this, and that is don'tgiveupyourhouse.com. Again, just like it sounds, don'tgiveupyourhouse.com. I don't necessarily charge people. What I do is I take offerings. Whatever it is that you have to offer that you can, I barter. And that's what it is. And that's what we're bringing back into society. That's where we've actually failed as a society by allowing this monetary system, fiduciary